Okay, I would like to bring start the reorganization meeting. We will be having 2 meetings tonight. The first one is called the reorganization meeting. I will have Mark explain what we will be doing.
Well, actually did most of it already. The school code requires that boards of school districts reorganize the first week in December. You may find that a tad odd because with most forms of government, townships, the federal government, state government, the year begins January 1st. Ours is beginning tonight. So we're going to have 2 meetings tonight, as Ashley said. We're going to have what's called the reorganization meeting, and then we're going to adjourn that, and then have a very, I suspect, brief recess, and then we'll go into our regular business meeting.
Not in favor? No? Okay.
And Al's the temporary president.
Okay.
Why don't you run it from there?
Yep.
Now, Al and I will switch spots, which I'm happy to do.
And Mr. Parker has joined us.
Hi, Bill. All right, so first things first, we're going to bring all the newly elected and re-elected individuals to the front so you can take your oath. And if any family members here, you want to go up and take pictures? Come on. All right, you all can raise your right hand.
Al, you have a participant behind you.
Take pictures. Want to see pictures? Get out of the way. We'll wait for Mrs. Davis. Let me get out of the way so you can take pictures of that.
Recording in progress.
Got it. All right, so raise your right hand, repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I do solemnly swear
that I state your name,
that I
will support, obey, and defend the Constitution
will support, obey, and defend the Constitution
of the United States and the Constitution of the Commonwealth,
of the United States and the Commonwealth,
and that I will discharge
and that I will discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I'll charge you rental if you keep it. And charge you rental if you keep it.
All right, we're going to continue with the nomination for actual president. Now, this is the actual nomination for president for next year. I'll take nominations, please.
I'd like to nominate Al Leach.
Second?
It keeps going off and on. I got to the side. All those in favor? Oh, this has to be a roll call vote. Don't have to be a roll call vote? It
No,
says that in the
no.
thing.
You have to close the nomination.
It does not have to be a roll call vote. Again, never calling a lawyer, will talk too much. The code actually calls them recorded votes. So as long as Christie can record the votes, we don't have to have roll calls.
Okay. All those in favor of myself being the president for this year?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. All right, we're going to hold the nominations now for vice president. Any nomination, please? I make a motion to close. All those in favor of Tina being vice president?
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome, Tina. All right, so we're going to move to 7.1, which is the Western Center. Now, on the Western Center, Bob's old seat is obviously now up for election. So what we're going to do is I'm going to open up again for nominations for someone to sit. It's going to be running, I believe, a 3-year term. So 2021?
1 year.
1 year? How long for his?
Oh, for his, I'm sorry, I apologize, 3. You're
3
absolutely
years,
correct.
3 years,
I'm off
okay.
guard.
So this will go for the next 3 years. Could I have nominations, please?
I'd like to nominate Jay Strunk.
All right, I'll close nominations. Vote for Jay Shrum to be, ready? Okay, make the vote for Jay to be the new JOC. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, any opposed? All right, we're going to move on to 7.2. MCIU liaison. Okay, so now that person is still going to be, actually, I would guess, because this says till 6/30/21. We didn't have to vote for that.
And it's not an elected office anyhow.
So Ashley will continue to stay on for the MCIU, for
Okay,
Bob's
is there-
seat.
Isn't there an MCIU liaison and MCIU board?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, the legislative committee is Dr. Nipper.
Okay, so I'm liaison. Okay.
You're the board member. He's the legislative
Okay,
committee.
All right. Yes,
All right.
I'd like to keep that.
Nearly. PSBA liaison. Now, this is actually another one that's going to be for 1 year. I believe, Patty, you're the person for that. It doesn't say on my list here. Yes, Patty, no, that's the recreational board. Patty, would you like to stay?
Yes.
All those in favor? Patty, welcome another year. Let's see here, we got committee appointments. Now, committee appointments I'm going to table to January so I can get with everybody as into what committees they want to be with. That includes the negotiation committee. This year is the year we're going to be doing a contract negotiation with our teachers. That will begin in January. We will decide who from our team will be the members that will be part of that as well. That's going to be in January. Let's see who else we got. Couple other little tidbits. It's not on this agenda, but it's right here. You got recreational board citizen position, Sydney Coleman. I'm not sure who that is, so she's on there. And another person that you're on there on the recreational board, so you're on there too for 2023. So that's all good to go. I don't have any other. Do you have to have public comment?
If there's anybody who wants to comment on this agenda that
Right.
we just did, otherwise, as I
Well,
indicated,
then I
there'll
can
be an
adjourn.
opportunity, yeah.
Does anybody want to comment on the reorganization meeting? Seeing none, I put to adjourn. All those a vote?
Aye.
All right, give 2 seconds, then we'll go to the regular meeting. Ashley, could you note the roll call? I believe everybody's in. It's just Bill not having an issue with his audio. All right, hopefully that doesn't do this. All right, so we're going to move to public comment. Now, I'm going to do the online public comment first, and then we'll move to the in-person public comment. The only thing I'm asking, and I'm asking this for the online, and I'm asking this for everybody in here. Everybody knows you have difference of opinions on the health and safety plans. Some people are one way, some people are the other. No one is right or wrong. Everybody here is doing what's best for them and their family. So all I ask is be respectful of that. Everybody is right, everybody is wrong. As you can't be both. So I understand there's a lot of passion, and I want you to say your passion. Just remember to be respectful to everybody that's here. All right, remember, in the end, we're all one community, we're all friends, we're all family in the end. All right. Dr. Ramage, will you go to the online comments? Sorry, Melissa Storty, come on down. If you would state your name and township, and then you have 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Melissa Storty. I am in Lower Pottsgrove Township. I am the parent of 2 children attending Rocks. One is in 1st grade and one is in kindergarten. As spirited and loving as my children are, they are special needs with anxiety and PTSD. I wish to address the following: to share the struggles my children have in an academic setting without one-to-one support, to obtain answers as to why one-to-one support is not permitted.
Ms. Shorty, don't cut her time out. Please put your mask on. I'm real particular about that.
Support is not permitted in the Pottsgrove School District for children with special needs such as ADHD. Before starting kindergarten, my daughter had a therapeutic support staff for 35 hours a week for over a year. Her TSS was needed because of her inability to focus, to stay on task, and to follow teacher instruction. There were never any barriers to allow her TSS to be with her at kindergarten during COVID. She saw her TSS via Zoom. At the age of 4, my son Josh was diagnosed with ADHD and received 20 hours a week of TSS support for his pre-K classroom. Again, no barriers during COVID. But when he entered kindergarten, we knew the honeymoon period would end and his teachers would see challenges in his behavior, such as staying on task and following instructions. His teachers echoed the needed one-for-one for support. With all of the CDC mandates places to ensure safety for all, why is Pottsgrove School District not supporting children with disabilities with one-on-one support? My children are entitled to a free, appropriate public education under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which describes the responsibilities to provide special ed and related services, including one-to-one support for children with all disabilities. My children are gifted in different ways. ADHD is not a discipline problem or temper tantrum. It is a battle to maintain focus, a medical condition, and chemical imbalance. Lori and Josh are just one of the many children with special needs who need to have one-on-one support. We are all responsible to have no child left behind. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Storty. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. You bring up a reasonable point. I've had some conversations, and the team has had some conversations about how we're supporting kids and why we're making decisions. What we are very careful about the number of adults basically the number of people that are in a classroom because of the impact, a potential impact it could have in having to exclude additional children. So we are working with families in one-on-one to make sure that we are supporting your child and the children of the district in the ways that we need to be supporting them. And we look forward to when the COVID landscape doesn't look so much like it does right now. What I'd like to do is I'd like to have one of my team reach out to you and have that conversation. We'll make sure that happens tomorrow if that's convenient for you. Okay.
All right, I'm going to move to Tiffany Schmidt. Come on down. Ms. Schmidt, if you could just state your name and obviously township, please. 2 minutes.
Hi, Tiffany Schmid. I'm in Lower Pottsgrove. My daughter is in first grade at West Pottsgrove Elementary. I hate public speaking, so I wasn't expected to be called up this early. Sorry.
Could you maybe lean into the mic a little bit?
Sure, sorry. So my daughter is in first grade at West Pottsgrove. I wanted to speak on the mask mandate. To start this off, being pro-mask does not mean that we want our children to be wearing masks. No one wants to be in this situation right now. We're all in the same boat where we want to get rid of these masks. But at this time, it is not a feasible option. My children were very fortunate that they were able to get vaccinated on November 4th, which was the second day the vaccine was available. They still will not be fully vaccinated until after this mandate is supposed to be lifted. That does not include the Pottsgrove students who got vaccinated on the 8th. They won't be able to be fully vaccinated until the middle of December. This is right after Thanksgiving. This is before Christmas. This is before New Year's Eve, when people are gathering with family who may or may not be vaccinated. My only concern is for the parents who choose to add that extra layer of protection of the vaccine. Please allow our children in all classrooms to still be masked, to give our children the ability to be fully vaccinated. I spoke with my daughter's pediatrician today. She said there is no reason for the mask mandate to be lifted at this point because of all the holidays coming up.
10 seconds.
I've spoken with my girlfriend who is a nurse at Children's Hospital Philadelphia. She said if it is lifted, I should keep my children out of school. Okay.
Thank you. Next up, I have a Becky Busby, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. Come on down, state your name and township, please.
Thanks.
And Ms. Busby, you didn't write down what you're speaking on. Is it on the agenda?
It is. It's on the map.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Becky Busby. I'm from Upper Pottsgrove. I have a daughter in high school and a daughter in middle school. I'm actually not here to speak to the board. I'm here to speak to the parents. When's enough enough? This is crazy. These kids have rights. We need to stand for them rights. Us parents have rights, and we need to stand for them also. Being a veteran, I fought very hard for our freedoms, and it's pretty bad that we're all sitting and letting these freedoms be taken from us. It's not about the masks. It's not about these vaccines. It's about our God-given rights and this Constitution, and we are letting this just disappear. So as parents, we need to stand for the rights of our kids. So, thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go to Jason Rittmeyer. Please come up, state your name and township.
Good evening. Jason Reitmeyer, Lower Pottsgrove. I'd like to thank everyone for providing as much normalcy as possible so far during the school year. It's nice to have the kids back in school person learning, as well as all the extracurricular activities. It's going to be nice to see the concerts coming up and all that. Do I believe masks are awesome? No. Do I believe masks are perfect? No. But as published and peer-reviewed studies have shown, they do help limit the spread, and I think they're one of the least invasive strategies that can be used. So I've been a supporter of the mask wearing and also proposed health and safety plan changes. I'm glad you're going to use a science and data-driven approach as when it's best to end masks. Thank you very much. And I would like to, not on my agenda, but the previous lady that spoke about her children need a one-on-one, I believe she has something that should be looked into. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have a Michael, Milky. Come on, say your name and township, please.
I'm sorry? I'm on. Mark Milky, Lower Pottsgrove. I have a child at Ringing Rocks and a child at Lower. And first of all, I applaud you for the plan and the presentation that I read, and I hope that you vote to approve it. I think it's a smart plan. Simply put, if the COVID situation improves, we say bye-bye to masks. And if the situation stays the same or gets worse, we keep the masks. Personally, I despise the masks, and the whole entire situation is just sad. But quite frankly, it doesn't matter that I hate it or you hate it or any of the other parents here hate it, because we can hate it all we want, but the fact is that it's the situation that we're living in, and we have to learn how to live safely in it. Actual, factual, peer-reviewed studies conducted by scientists and researchers, not your old college roommate on Facebook, have proven that masks are roughly 51% effective at stopping the spread of COVID. And that's not my opinion, that's just a fact, and facts do matter. Masks aren't perfect. That's true, it says so right on the box. They don't stop every droplet containing COVID from escaping. But forget about the science for a moment and use basic common sense. If I have something up in front of my face, it will lessen the amount of droplets that I'm spreading from myself to you when I cough or sneeze or laugh, and it really is that simple. I think it's important to point out that this isn't just about students wearing masks, it's about all of us. The entire Pottsgrove community will be affected by what the board decides. A student can spread COVID to other students, teachers, and staff. Those people go out in the community and can spread that infection to their families, grocery clerks, or anyone else they come into contact with. On the flip side of the coin, those same people out there in our community can spread COVID to a student outside of school, and then the student can bring that infection into the schools with them. Outside of these walls, it's easy to stay responsibly physically distanced from each other, or at least limit our exposure to others. Inside of these walls, I think we all know realistically that it's impossible to follow all the distancing rules. We have to have the kids in the schools. I think most of us agree with that. If they have to be here and they can't always follow the distancing guidelines, and facts have proven that masks work.
Time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have a Mike Karszwinski. Come on up, state your name and your township, please.
Hi, I'm Mike Kaczynski with Lower Pottsgrove. So I've come tonight firstly to thank the members of the board and the administration for working through over a year and a half of tough decisions. Those decisions often have not been made any easier due to actions by a few in the community, but I appreciate the steadfast approach to do the job despite those headwinds. Secondly, I want to comment on the latest proposal. I've seen the PowerPoint, and I believe it demonstrates how seriously the administration is taking this complex issue. Laying out clear goals and how the proposal helps achieve those stated goals helps me understand where you're coming from with your suggestions. The detail involved in it helps me believe that these aren't random ideas, but assembled thoughtfully, and I'll assume under the guidance of experts and data I don't have access to. While I may not love every single detail of the plan, the simple fact is that I don't have to. I trust your intent, your methodology, and your expertise being greater than mine. I'm supportive of the plan. I hope the board sees fit to approve it as the proposal states. Lastly, I'd like to state that masks have been shown in studies to help reduce the spread of COVID and other illnesses. They do that by reducing the emission of virus-laden droplets, which is especially important for asymptomatic infected wearers, who are estimated to account for 50% of transmission. Simply put, when hospital staff wear masks in the surgical field, it's not to avoid getting sick from the patient on the table, it's to ensure the surgical staff doesn't unknowingly pass infection on to the patient. The idea of, if you want to wear a mask, go ahead, my child doesn't want to, ignores the fact that you wear it primarily to protect others, not yourself. Masks will help keep more students and faculty safely in the school for more days to get more education. That's what we need this year. Thank you.
Thank you. I have Dustin Ditello. If you come up, state your name and township, please.
Good evening, everybody. Dustin Datillo, 4 kids in the Pottsgrove School District, a senior, 2 ninth graders, a 6th grader. I got a little one running around. She'll get through there soon enough. They're tired of wearing them. You can ask her. She's in the back again. The senior's tired of wearing them. She can't even take a picture with her friends. That's besides the point. You guys are going, I keep hearing people talking about your guys' great plan. You're going, you got this scientific plan. You're going off of community transmissibility. You don't give age of these people. You don't give their symptoms, if they have symptoms or not. You don't give if they're vaccinated or not. You don't give any details at all. Like people at my facility, there's 900 of us getting tested a week. There's a lot of false positives. But that's what you're going off of? And you guys think that's scientific? That's not scientific at all. That's ridiculous, because I've seen your little chart you guys added where it's substantial and high, and I see that it's constantly substantial and high, so there's no end in masking. This is endemic. There's always going to be cases. The CDC doesn't even count adult flu deaths. You guys know this, correct? It's so insignificant to the CDC, an adult human dying of the flu. They don't even count that. They do count kid deaths. They've counted children deaths since 2004, I think. But here you guys are counting random cases in the community that you don't even know any details about them. So, you guys keep saying peer-studied reviews. This just came out 2 days ago, November 30th. The University of Oxford professor Jim Naismith asserts that despite England dropping its mask mandate in July and Scotland keeping its rules in force, official data shows that it has made no meaningful difference to infection rates. My kids do everything without a mask. If you guys want your kids to wear a
10
mask,
seconds.
go ahead, wear it. Africa, the continent of Africa, is 6% vaccinated. They have the lowest cases. Gibraltar is 100% vaccinated. They have the highest cases. Ireland,
Time is
92% vaccinated. They have high cases. Get over it, guys.
Thank you. Andy Corman, come on up. Now, Andy, you have 2, obviously one on the health and safety plan and one that's not related to health and safety. Is that on the agenda, or do you want to do it at the second public comment?
Pardon me, that was just a personal comment at the end.
Okay. So you're going to do the first one now for health and safety.
First one
at
now.
the end, come back up to do the other part.
Correct. Andrew
Go.
Corman, Upper Pottsgrove. Before I begin, I just want to recognize that my wife and I each participated in parent-teacher conferences last week, and we were thoroughly impressed. Our son, Daniel, is in 11th grade. We were thoroughly impressed with his teachers and the progress that he's making. Thank you very much. So as I begin, whatever side of the fence that you are on, I highly recommend this book. It's called Plandemic. At what point is enough enough? Wake up to the fact that we've all been played. COVID-19 is the greatest con job ever played on humanity. The medical industrial complex, Big Pharma, through the American Rescue Plan, has sunk its teeth into you, and now they have you by the stones. They will never relinquish the power and control they have over you. Masking never slowed the spread. SARS-CoV-2 is a gain-of-function bioweapon which is never going away. Because you acquiesced on wearing a mask to slow the spread, now your children and your grandchildren must wear a face diaper all day in school. Nowhere else, just school. Another big fat lie. On November 5th, 2021, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky tweeted, "Masks can help reduce your chance of infection by more than 80%. Dr. Vinay Rasad, a hematologist-oncologist in the Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics at the University of Southern California, the idea that masks can reduce infection by 80% is simply untrue, implausible, and cannot be supported by any data. The face diaper is like a petri dish where antibiotic-resistant pathogens live. Wearing a mask over an extended period of
10
time without
seconds.
proper airflow may increase your risk of infection illness. Did you know that in October 2020, the WHO announced that projections show COVID-19 to be fatal for approximately
time is up.
0.14% of those who become ill?
Thank you. All right, so next up, I have Marizil Stesnik, but you don't have one here. Is it about the agenda?
Yeah, it's about the math minute.
You got it.
And it's Marizete Stesnik.
Spell that again, I'm sorry.
Marizete
Maya
Stesnik.
Zechi Stesnik. Could you
Yes.
state your name and obviously township, please?
Marizete Stesnik from Upper Pottsgrove. I would like to say that if I am to bring my child to a facility to get vaccinated and I have to sign a document attesting that I am responsible for anything that can happen, if can happen after he gets vaccinated, I think it's just fair to be able to have that at schools as well. Allow parents to be responsible for masking or unmasking, vaccinating or unvaccinating. Parents that want to mask their kids and bring them vaccinated to school, your freedom. Let me and my folks and people that think like me be responsible for vaccinating or not, masking or not their kids. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, I think I have Charles Stesnik. Come on up. Stesnik. And if you could do me a favor, and just anybody in the future, if you could look this way instead of into the
Okay,
public.
I got you. I got you.
It's not so much where you look, it's more that it's not appropriate for dialogue between the audience. Your comments are welcome for the board. It's important they have your comments for any agenda items so they make an informed decision. But again, we don't want interaction between the audience.
We good? All right, Charles Sasnick, Upper Pottsgrove. So first thing, Dr. Finnerty, you're recommending Monco's recommendation, and recommendation's the key word there. So I'm wondering why you're recommending it, and for the next meeting, I was hoping that maybe you could bring all the data and the sources for the data that you're using to make this recommendation. And also, you stated that there was districts that had to close down all that. So I was wondering what districts they are, districts and schools, and also what are the masking policies at those schools? Also, what do you guys do with the swabs for the test to stay? And for the board, again, next meeting, can you guys please provide us with the data that you're using, the sources that you're using? Are you guys looking into any other districts, counties, states, countries for your decision that you're going to make? We already know what it is. And also, what is your end game plan for all this? Is it just going to be keep going, or can we somehow work out some sort of compromise? If it's just whatever the government says, they've been basically wrong about everything throughout this whole thing. Everybody has been. So can we come up with our own recommendations? I'm pretty reasonable, but I do have eyes. I can read. I can see what's happening around us. Mask, no mask, shots, no shots, everybody, everywhere. Everybody's in the same boat right now. It doesn't matter what you're doing. So can we come up with our own compromise? On the exemption form, there's a section for mask breaks. So why do we need a doctor's note for that? Can we just implement a mask break at some point? Could we do something like maybe, every other week, masks are optional except for in the hallways, something like that. I don't really care about the upcoming
10
court ruling.
seconds.
Tom Wolf said the September 28th, now it's the 28th, so I'm, reasonable. So can we come up with something in a month and a half that's more of a compromise for
Time.
everybody?
Thank you. And they were, Mr. Stesnik, they were all very, very good questions, and hopefully, we can't go back and forth with this, but hopefully we can answer some of those questions and others when we do the presentation. All right, Katie Copa, come on down, please. Name and township, please.
Okay, Katie Copa, Upper Pottsgrove Township. I have just a comment / question on the presentation that was shared the other day. The presentation, I believe you're going to go through it tonight. There's a slide titled, "How would removing the mask mandate affect Pottsgrove School District?" On that slide, there's a bullet that reads, "Currently, to participate in the Test to Stay program, districts must have a universal masking requirement." Looking at the Montgomery County's Department of Public Health website, specifically at the eligibility section for the Test to Stay program, it reads, "A school district must have a health and safety plan that recommends a universal masking policy." Recommends does not equal require, and to suggest that our district would not be able to participate in Test to Stay if we don't mandate masks is flat out untrue. Like several of the other parents that have spoken tonight, I just want to be able to have a choice for my family, for my children. I am respectful of anybody's choice. If you want to wear 25 masks on your face and stand 75 feet away from the nearest person, that is your choice. Absolutely your choice. Me wanting a choice for my family does not make me an anti-masker. And I don't appreciate members of this school board calling anybody who wants a choice for their family and their kids an anti-masker. That's not fair. And it's very unbecoming of a public servant. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, I have Rick Rubinowitz. Will you come on down, state your name and township?
Hello, Rick Rubinowitz, Lower Pottsgrove Township. Pretty much everything's been said here. I just want to thank you folks for making the tough decisions and continuing to make tough decisions. There's no resolving the differences of opinion in the community on this issue. I think that the new plan splits the baby pretty well based on transmissibility. One thing I will say is, since choice keeps being brought up, as a person who found himself in the hospital in January because of a heart attack, I don't get a choice when I get exposed to people who might expose me to COVID, whether they choose not to get vaccinated or whether they choose to walk around without masks in stores. They risk exposing me to a potentially deadly virus that is more deadly for me than it is for them because of my medical condition. So choice is a funny thing, and what I choose to do is to be cognizant of the fact that there are people like me who don't want to be exposed to my illnesses, so I choose to wear a mask, and I wish that more people would as well. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Thank you. Dr. Ramage, do we have the online set up? And can we go with the first person? State your name. Okay, state your name, township, please, over this loudspeaker.
Hey, my name is Paul Driehaus. I am in Upper Pottsgrove Township. I am here to speak in support of the proposed revision to the health and safety plan, particularly relying on the level of community transmission being in the higher substantial range to have universal masking required. The current scientific research, including a September 2021 study of 340,000 individuals by the Stanford Medical School and Yale University, confirms that masks are effective in reducing the transmission of COVID-19. No single defense, including masking, is 100% effective in preventing coronavirus transmission. Instead, communities such as ours employ a defense-in-depth strategy, including masks, vaccinations, testing, and quarantine to reduce transmission. Given the 777,000 COVID-19 deaths in the U.S., including approximately 700 children, I think the district must continue to use a range of diverse measures to fight the spread of the coronavirus. We recently have seen Boyertown High School closed due to COVID. Based on something as close to home as that, I really think the board needs to base its decision on the body of scientific research and the collective knowledge and experience of the virologists, epidemiologists, and other public health professionals who devote their lives to protecting all of us every day. And I applaud you for your efforts to date, and I, again, urge you to vote for that revision of the health and safety plan. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anybody else, Dr. Ramage? Okay, go right ahead. State your name and township, please.
Hi, my name is Christina Liebel. I live in Lower Pottsgrove. I just am here to speak on behalf of the families who would like to continue with the masking. I do agree with the health and safety plan. My biggest question at this point, though, is with this, are we looking at this as a week by week? So if we go from substantial to moderate, does that mean the following week we are now unmasked? Everybody's up for choice. I absolutely 100% agree with choice, but I think trying to go week by week may be an issue. I just hope that this all gets figured out and we all can get out of this pandemic sooner rather than later. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and that's also a great question that we will try to answer during the presentation. Anybody else, Dr. Ramage? Go ahead, state your name and township.
It's Kevin Hitt, Upper Pottsgrove. I'd just like to speak and then make a comment regarding some other choice options that were brought up. I'm for the mask mandate. I've heard people say that their kids can't wear it, don't like to wear it. I have an autistic kid who's in 12th grade who over the last almost 2 years has flown all over the country to other countries, worn a mask with no issues. I've heard some people mention that it should be the choice whether or not, you can wear the mask, don't want to wear the mask. And also in the past, it's not so much this meeting, people have brought up the fact that you could send your kids virtual. There is no virtual option for special needs. At the beginning of the year, we inquired about it. We were told that we could send our kid to the Brandywine Academy, but we'd be required to sign a waiver that basically let the school out of any liability for not meeting his IEPs. So for us, there's not a choice. The kid has to go there, and he's going to wear a mask. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Ramage? All right, before I move on to the report of the student, I do want to say that I have gone through and watched countless board meetings, and I mean countless board meetings since this all started. And I applaud, and I mean applaud, each and every time I come to this board meeting and how respectful the people here are to each other, to the board. Yes, we've had some issues and different things like that, but you guys have done a fantastic job of respecting each and every other individual, and you all should be applauded for that. So we're going to move. We're going to move to the report of the student representative, please.
Good evening, everyone. We don't have much to say because we just got off of break, but what we want to say are the upcoming dates for the holiday concerts. All of them will be held at the middle school auditorium and will feature the band, orchestra, and chorus students. December 8th is the high school concert date. December 13th is the elementary school's concert date, and December 16th is the middle school concert date.
All performances begin at 7 p.m. and are free to the public. Masks are still mandatory for inside events. We hope to see everyone there supporting our Pottsgrove music program, and have a great night.
Thank you, Lily and Matt. Matt, is there one other thing you'd like to share? Okay. I'm going to keep after you.
All right, we're going to move on to 5.1, report of the superintendent. Dr. Finnerty.
Thank you. Good evening. I just have a couple of things to share tonight. First, earlier this week, we met with Irvine Consultants and reviewed our audit results for the 2021 school year. I'm pleased to report that we received a clean audit report, which is the desired report. I'd like to thank our interim business administrator, Mr. Ron Linke, and his team for their hard work and throughout the process. The audit report will be on the agenda in January. Second, on Monday, November 29th, Giant Pharmacy held their second vaccination clinic for children ages 5 to 11. We had more than 330 second doses of vaccines administered. Lastly, we continue to see an increase in the number of parents to sign up for our rapid antigen testing. This is for our Test to Stay program and our point of care testing. If you are interested, please see our website for how to do that. This is an excellent way. I'll talk about it later when I make my presentation, but this is an excellent way, option for parents to keep their child in school. So if you're interested, please see our website or talk to your building principal. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Finnerty. We're going to move on to action items, personnel, 6.1. Nope, we're going to go back to 4.1. We did not. I need approval of the minutes. Can I need a motion to approve the minutes from last board meeting? Second. I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good catch. All right, now we're going to go to 6.1, action items, personnel.
I'd like to make a motion under action items personnel to approve 6.1 through 6.6.
I have a motion and a second to approve 6.1 to 6.6. Do I have any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. 6.7.
Item 6.7 is the approval of Act 93 administrative salaries per the Act 93 compensation plan. The recommended action is to approve the Act 93 administrative salaries per the Act 93 compensation plan as submitted.
I have a motion and a second to approve the Act 93 administrative salaries. Do I have any questions or comments? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Move to 7.1.
7.1, action items business. Item 7.1 is a resolution to stay within the Act 1 index. Recommended action is to adopt a resolution limiting the tax increase for the 22-23 school year to no more than the Act 1 index for the year.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any questions or comments? Hearing none, I'm going to make a comment. Just so everybody knows, maybe you haven't come to many of the meetings, the Act 1 index is going to say 4.5%. That we are not raising your taxes to 4.5%. For anybody that hasn't been here before and not seen this, it's just us, the obligatory. We have to go through the legalese to make sure we're not going to raise your taxes above that amount. We're never going to get close to 4.5%. Just wanted everybody to know. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 7.2.
I'd like to make a motion that we combine or approve 7.2 and 7.3.
I have a motion and a second to combine 7.2 and 7.3. Do I have any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Move to action items, education.
Action item 8.
I'd like to make a motion. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Trying to move along here a little bit. I'd like to make a motion under action items education 8.1 and 8.2.
I have a motion and a second to combine 8.1 and 8.2. Do we have any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Well, Dr. Finity, it's up to you now.
Okay, action item 8.3, the Fay School Reopening Health and Safety Plan revisions. The recommended action is to approve the health and safety plan as submitted. I do have so after a motion and a second, I would have a presentation that I could share.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Will you make the presentation, please?
Okay. Dr. Ramage, do we have the presentation on streaming as well? Okay. Could we make this bigger? If you hit present, or can we do that? Oh, so this is the PDF. Okay, this will be fine. So good evening, everyone. I'm here to present on our health and safety plan update. Give me 1 second if you go to slide number 2, please. We have 3 different computers up. Okay. So the goal of the health and safety plan is the same as it's been every time I've talked about it, is to keep students and staff safe and in person. We are looking for 180 days of in-person learning. We are looking to safely hold every event, activity, competition that we have scheduled. We are looking to minimize the number of student days lost, and I'll talk a little bit to refresh everybody's memory about what student days lost look like. We do that by minimizing close contacts, and one of the ways we can do that is to implement point of care and test-to-stay antigen testing programs. Before I get into our recommendation, I do want to explain a little bit about level of community transmission. The level of community transmission is the primary measure used by the county to describe the COVID level in the community, not particular in the school, but in the community. It is made up of 2 measures. Those 2 measures are incident rate, and that's usually expressed as a number of cases per 100,000 people, and positivity rate. Positivity is the percent of COVID PCR tests that are positive. I'm suggesting that the 2 measures usually move in lockstep. In conversations with Montgomery County Office of Public Health and with Children's Hospital of Pennsylvania, the incident rate is the more effective measurement. So for simplicity's sake, I'm suggesting that we will focus primarily on that one. There are 4 levels of community transmission. High. So this is the incident rate. The incident rate for high is 100 or more cases per 100,000. The positivity is 10%. And I've had a couple of people point out to me that 100 per 100,000 is not 10%. True, they're different measures. We're talking about the incident rate and the positivity. Substantial is 50 to 99 cases per 100,000, or a positivity rate between 8 and 9.9. Moderate, 10 to 49 per 100,000, or a positivity of 5 to 7. And then low, 0 to 9 per 100,000, or less than a 5% positivity. It is published every Tuesday evening by Montgomery County Office of Public Health. It's on their website. I've put it in several of my blogs, so you can actually see the site. We also publish that information on our COVID dashboard. To a question that was asked earlier, per Montgomery County Office of Public Health, the level of community transmission doesn't change until you have 2 successive weeks. So 2 consecutive weeks in a different level. So we are currently at high, and I'll show you that later. We're currently at high. For us to go to moderate, we would need moderate 2 weeks in a row, and that would take us down to moderate or substantial in 2 weeks in a row to get down to moderate. Next slide, please. So this is our recommendation. We are recommending that through February 22nd, 2022, and that is, I chose that date, or we chose that date because it happens to be a board meeting. Universal masking for all students, staff, and visitors, regardless of vaccination status. We are not going to get into who's vaccinated and who's not. Will be based on level of community transmission in the Pottsgrove School District, as reported each Tuesday evening by Montgomery County Office of Public Health. What we are recommending is in high and substantial, so more than 50 cases per 100,000, that universal masking. Below that, masks would be optional. The language that Montgomery County Office of Public Health uses for moderate is recommended for unvaccinated, or let me be clear on this. What they have used previously is recommended for unvaccinated, optional for vaccinated. They have not released their updated guidance. I've seen a draft copy, but they have not officially posted their official guidance. Why are we doing this? Because we believe this is the best way for us to achieve our goal of keeping staff and students safe and in-person learning and having the most normal school year with all of our activities, athletic competitions, and performances as scheduled. So here's where we're at. This is right from our website, our COVID dashboard. Earlier this week, I added 2 columns so that you don't have to go look at Montgomery County Office of Public Health. You're perfectly welcome. You'll see the same numbers. I added 2 columns, the level, high, so we are currently in high, and then the actual incident rate, okay? So this slide shows that the COVID dashboard has been updated to display that. The level of community transmission in Pottsgrove has been high and substantial for a couple of weeks, but mostly high for the entire school year. The number of student days, that's still, to me, a very important metric. That's the last column on the right. It continues to be significant. This next slide that I'm going to show you is going to talk about where those numbers come from. So I've showed a slide similar to this previously. There are 4 reasons, there are 4 categories or reasons for exclusion. And these this is not our choice. These are the rules that we must play by. These are the rules that have guided everything we've done as far as health and safety. Keeping kids in school and holding safe events. So there are 4 categories. Symptomatic. That's pretty straightforward. A kid who has a kid or staff member who has symptoms. COVID, many of the symptoms are very similar to other medical conditions as well, colds, flus, allergies, etc. Close contacts. Close contacts are defined as individuals who come in contact with a COVID positive person. Now that's at school, at a school event. And I'm going to have a whole slide to talk about close contacts. Household contacts. These are students living with a family member who has an active COVID case. And then positive. That's very straightforward, that COVID positive person. As of Tuesday, when I posted this presentation to the agenda, we had 124 cases of COVID. 20 of them occurred this week. Now, that data is a little skewed because of Thanksgiving, but 20 of them. So now's a pretty good point to actually talk about, let me talk about conversations that I have with Montgomery County Office of Public Health, CHOP, and the county commissioner who participates in a weekly meeting with superintendents. The numbers are going to get worse. Everybody is projecting that the numbers in the short term are going to get very significantly worse, that we're going to track what's happened in other states. On the upside, they're also predicting that the numbers are going to come down sharply after that. Optimistically, end of January, February, but everybody believes that they are going to come down. Now, I can't hang my hat on that, but that is the optimistic part of the message that has been shared with us. Let me continue with this. So let's talk a little bit about close contacts. Close contacts are simply if you are within 6 feet of someone who is COVID positive for 15 minutes. That you are a close contact, and by rule, we have to exclude you. Now, there are 3 exceptions, and there's a couple other programs we're going to talk about that let us not exclude you. Student masked and distanced exception. They are students. This only is true for students, not for adults. Students, K-12, who are properly masked and maintain at least 3 feet are not close contacts and do not need to be excluded. This has been a wonderful thing to keep our children in school. And I'm going to talk more about this. This is the most powerful exception that we have going for us right now. As of Tuesday, we had to exclude 312 students so far for close contacts, for a total of 1,243 student days lost. Because we are masked and have at least 3 feet of physical distance between students in all classrooms, we can take great advantage of this student mask and distance exception. Almost all of our close contacts, almost all of them, come from buses where we don't have 3 feet, come from cafeteria where students are unmasked, you can't eat and be masked, or they come from athletics and activities where generally they're not masked and they're distanced. That's where our close contacts are coming. So the vast, vast majority of those 312 students that we've had to send home for 1,243 days have come from that. Very, very few of them have come from the classroom, and that is because we are masked and distanced. Going into the other exceptions, the COVID vaccination exception. We are allowed to exclude fully vaccinated individuals who do not have symptoms. They're not counted as close contacts. These are rules from the Office of Public Health. So and this really is the only time we ask, it's primarily the only time that we're going to ask for vaccination status, because if you have proof of that you're vaccinated and you're showing no symptoms, we can keep you in school. And then the recent infection exception. This is for an individual who was tested positive for COVID-19 within the last 90 days, and again, not symptomatic. So we do not have to exclude you. So those are the rules. These are the rules that we base our plan and our decisions on. Our next slide, I want to what I think is a very powerful graphic on how powerful the student mask and distance exception is. So in the picture at left, 3 students in rows of 3. And many of our classrooms are set up like this, especially at grades 3 on through 12. You see a lot of this configuration. So in the picture at left, if all students are masked and the child in the center square, so to speak, is positive, we have 1 positive case, no close contacts. We send 1 kid home for 10 days, and maybe less. Well, it's probably 10 days. Now, change it. Make it masked optional. And those 8 kids around the kid are still wearing masks. So we have 8 kids masked, kid in the middle is not masked, and that kid is COVID positive. We now have 8 close contacts. We have to send 8 kids home for probably 7 days each, based on 1 case. Now put that same case in high school, where you have 7 different classes. This potentially could be a very significant number of kids that we're sending home for a significant time. That is what really, the unmasking eliminates the student mask and distance exception. And that's been so powerful for us to keep kids in school here. Next slide. So how would removing the mask date affect us? So I'm not going to get into how much masks prevent source control and prevent transmission. I'm not even talking about that. What I'm talking about is 100%, it would increase the number of close contacts. That's not even a question. It would 100% do that. And not by a little, by a lot, potentially. So, and that is all because of the student mask and distance exception. Instead of just having a couple of kids that we have to send home for every case, a couple of kids on the bus, a couple of kids at cafeteria, now we're going to have those same couple of kids on the bus, same couple of kids on the cafeteria, but now all the classmates that sit around that kid in every class they go to at the middle and high school where they change classes. That is, to me, a very bad outcome. And then the other thing, the elimination of test-to-stay antigen testing. It is, right now, it is 100% the truth that to participate under Montgomery County Office of Public Health, CLIA, their license to test, the district must have a universal mask mandate. That is 100% the fact. I was on the phone again today and in a Zoom meeting again today clarifying that. That is 100% true. We are talking with them about, at some point, the masks are, the amount of disease in the community is going to be low enough that we can safely remove these masks. We still want to have test to stay. So we are arguing very forcefully with Montgomery County Office of Public Health to examine that, to look at, can we still do test to stay? Right now, and I want to be crystal clear, 100%, and this answer is as fresh as today, 100%, if we are not universally masked, we cannot be in that, we cannot participate in that program. I am hopeful that they will look at changing the guidelines for, well, not the guidelines, the rules for participating in that program to be based on level of community transmission. So when community transmission gets low, we don't need to be universally masked and we can still participate in that. But that decision has not been made. So that I think captures why we believe so strongly in this path. And now to the board, are there any questions or clarifications that I could?
All right, this is going to open up to the board for questions now. Go ahead. Who has the first question?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
With regard to the Test to Stay program, is my mic on?
Yes.
Okay. If a student were to require a test, say we didn't have the Test to Stay option, that is simply the Binax test, I believe that, I mean, I've taken them, my kids have taken them. Say that were to happen, say my child requires a test, am I able to submit the Binax test on my own?
So the question was, can I do a home test, a Binax Now test, as part of Test to Stay? The answer, unfortunately, is no. To participate in the Test to Stay, we operate under Montgomery County Office of Public Health's CLIA, their licensure. So they say that the only tests that we can accept are by people that are trained here, our technicians, okay? Now, I want to make this also clear. We get, these tests are free. They're paid for by a grant that not a grant to us, a grant to Montgomery County Office of Public Health. We do not pay for test materials. Any other questions? Did that answer your question?
It did, and I know that we've talked before about this, and that I typically, my votes are consistent with, I don't mandate things unless I'm being mandated to do so. I vote on the side of choice due to personal experiences, and I want to thank you again for hearing my story about that as to why that's the consistency of my vote. But I guess what I was thinking was if, say we have this to become an option for families, basically, if your child is in a position where you have to produce a test so that you can return to school, I didn't know if, does that look like stopping at CVS and getting the PCR, or would they accept other things? I'm just trying to really wrap my mind around all the different options. And I do want to take a minute to say thank you for all that you've done with this. Our goals are the same as far as everybody staying in school. My vote's always been for that as well. And I can't wait to talk about school again. And we've joked about that, like, cannot wait to get back to talking about curriculum and actual school. And so thank you for all of this work and for enduring my many questions along the way.
So the question that I did hear in there is, would we accept a test result from another licensed clinician? Absolutely. So and we do that now. If whether that's PCR and that, you know what, I don't want to speak out of turn. That might even be antigen testing now. I'm seeing a head shake. Yes. So yes, from another licensed clinician, we could accept that result. We just can't accept a home test.
Thank you.
Any additional questions?
I just got a comment, really. It seems like we are not in, as Tina said, it seems like we're in the medical field instead of the educational field here. This is, with this exception, that exception, this exception, 6 feet for 15 minutes, 3 feet with mask. No, I don't know where we've come from and where we're going here. It just seems to me that we should be really talking about education and not medical stuff as much. I know we have to at this point, but that's just my comment is I want to keep the kids educated, not talking about medical, this study, that study, and so forth. And it seems like, okay, the Montgomery County Office of Public Health, I don't know where their numbers are coming from and so forth. So I really question a lot of this, and that's my comments.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, then I'm going to have a couple of questions. First question, if we do approve this and we go to the moderate, low, substantial, instead it's every 2 weeks, how are we going to inform the public as into whether it is mask optional that particular time frame or not? Are they going to have to just look at their website every week to see where we're at? Or how are we going to get this out to the public when it is a mask optional time?
So when we get to moderate, the first week, we'll keep the website updated on it's actually updated on a daily basis. It's in real time. But we'll keep that updated. But when we actually make a move, as soon as we make a move that first week, we'll make sure that we communicate home via our messenger system and the message might sound something like this. So say we were in substantial and we got our first week in moderate. The message would say, we now have our first week in moderate. If we again get another week, next week is in moderate or low, we will be implementing mask optional. Okay, so that's how the communication would look.
Second question I had is, we had a comment earlier in regards to letting people in to help with our IEP students and such like that. I did not see on here, but is there any option when we get to mask optional and those low areas to allow more individuals in to help our IEP students and those that need help?
Absolutely. When we get to lower levels, and our primary concern doesn't have to be what one case could do to a classroom where we end up having to send a lot of kids home. Not only we would welcome those in, we've also had a very vibrant community of volunteers in previous years that have supported our elementary classrooms, and we would look at welcoming them back as well.
Can we make sure that's added?
Add it in the plan. So you mean add to the health and safety plan? They would be covered under, because our language says, and I want to be exact on this. Our language says, students, staff, visitors, regardless of vaccination status, will be based on level. So visitors are in there.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions before I make my comment?
Dr. Finnerty, does the 2-week period for the community transmission levels also apply in the inverse? So as example, if we are now have been in moderate for 2 weeks and have a week of substantial, must we have 2 weeks substantial before we move from optional to required?
Yes. Yes. The 2-week time frame works both going up the ladder and down the ladder.
Thanks.
If I could make one other comment that I didn't make in my presentation. So a couple of days ago, the whipsaw action that's happened in the courts, I'm sure has, certainly has our head spinning, and I'm sure others as well. The most recent action is the PA Supreme Court stayed the stay, which basically reinstated the mask mandate until December 8th, when they hear oral arguments on the appeal, on the state's appeal to the Corman parents case. None of us know what they're going to do. If they reinstitute a statewide mask mandate, that would supersede our plan. I mean, we would have to follow that mask mandate.
So in essence, our plan, as we're voting on now, comes into effect when the state sends it back to us, not the day before.
Correct. When we get local control, our health and safety plan would take over. And that's why we moved this meeting to this night, because we wanted to make sure that we had a clearly defined local plan with all of the back and forth that's going on at in the courts.
All right, thank you. So just my comment to the board and such, and to the public. I personally believe in choice. I think the parents should choose whether or not they are allowed to have a mask or not have a mask, that they should choose whether they are vaccinated or not vaccinated. My issue comes back to not science. I understand we've had many people say about the science of the mask, the science of not, where are we getting our data from, where are we getting this from, right? To me, it's simply that chart back there that sat there and said, if I have one positive student, anybody that, and that student is not masked, then I have to now quarantine the 8 around and every class. As much as I believe we should have choice, my vote has always been, in the entire time I've been here, is in what's best for the students, what's best for the community, and what the community asked me to do as representing them and the plural, as in not the minority. It's always been the majority. Whether I believe in something or not, and quite frankly, I do not believe in the mask, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me because I have that stupid rule that's behind me that the Montgomery County said, I have to follow this rule. And as long as I have to follow this rule, I am not going to take a chance on having 56 students out one day, lose a teacher and lose an entire class. I'm just never going to vote that way. I will not, even though I believe, and I wholeheartedly believe we should have choice, I can't vote my way because it does not help the students, in my opinion. All right, so everybody knows where I'm going to vote. Does anybody else have any questions before we come to a vote? All those in favor of the new mask mandate and health and safety plan, say aye.
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 All those opposed,
Aye.
say nay.
I'm sorry?
Say nay.
Nay.
Dina?
No.
Motion passes. Was Bill on there? Yes. So motion passes 7-2.
Item 9, committee items. 9.1, policy committee. This is a vote to accept the minutes of the operations facility. Hold on a second. I'm reading the wrong thing here. This is a 9.1. This is a motion to approve the minutes of the policy committee meeting from October 26th.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for the policy committee. Do I have any questions or comments? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. 9.2.
9.2, Operations Facility Committee Meeting Report. This is a report out of the Operations Facilities Committee meeting. I believe that's Dr. Nippert.
Thank you, Dr. Finnerty. Yes, the Operations Committee met on November 9th, and we basically did two things. If you look at the times of the meeting, I think the meeting lasted, according to this, 20 minutes, which was a good length of time for these meetings. We had to approve the request for proposals for the construction of various projects which were deferred because of a variety of reasons, mostly due to renovations associated with COVID. So basically, you're going to be looking for about 5 RFPs or requests for proposals, which is what we can manage from the project list of about 10 or 12 projects. The other item that was mentioned was already discussed, which was the Act 1 4.5% index. And just one quick comment. If we came close to 4.5% pay raise, Mrs. Custer would have 2 letters from me. One is my resignation, and the second is she's a real estate agent and she'd be listing my house because I wouldn't want to live here.
Thank you, Dr. Nipper. Does anybody have any questions or comments? The only question I have is Jeff's in the audience. I don't see him in there. If we could just put him for, he's on the thing. If we could just for the record, we know we're going to be getting the 10-year plan, capital plan at the next meeting. That's all.
Thank you.
Next item.
9.3, Curriculum Integration and Technology Committee Meeting Report. That's Ms. Custer.
Me. All right, so we met on November 16th. First thing we discussed was intervention data, basically talking about how we make sure that all the students are getting the proper education, help, any kind of, if they're falling behind in certain areas. Oh, closer? It is on.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay. Anyway, so basically we make sure that the students are receiving the help that they need in certain areas. We do have data collection that follows them. The teachers then use to check on those students, to give them any kind of help that they might need, to reinforce some areas of study that maybe they were not doing so great on. Let me see, sorry, these aren't my notes. I wasn't able to print mine out. The next thing we talked about was our grading scale. A few board members had requested that we sort of revisit it. We had looked at it 4 or 5 years ago, I think, and sort of revamped it. And so we wanted to discuss the weight of building knowledge and demonstrating knowledge, and just how it affects a student who maybe isn't great at doing their homework but is good at taking tests, vice versa. How does that affect them possibly later in life? Are they not going to work hard because they don't feel like doing the work that comes up? What am I trying to say? So much of what we learn in school, we take with us. So that's what we were trying to address. So the administration is going to collect some data and report back to the CIT committee and just see if there's any areas that we need to tweak, anything that's not quite working with the grading scale, and we will discuss it again at the committee. The next thing we discussed was the personal finance class, which we have been talking about for, I don't know, 3 years now. So we started out with the history of the discussions, how they've gone along. And in the October meeting, the committee did ask the administration to identify ways in which to develop a 0.5 credit without the need to increase staff. So they did present us with various options, and we do want to move forward with this personal finance class, and in January of 2022, we will get the next steps in the implementation plan. And this would start for this year's 8th graders, is that right? Right, okay. So obviously not current students in high school yet would be required to take personal finance, but it would start with incoming 9th graders for next year. The next thing we discussed was a calendar for 2022-2023. Just wanted to, this was basically Dr. Finnerty's project. He wants to sort of provide makeup days for snow days within the calendar. Like a staff development day might be converted to a student day in the event of inclement weather. We're trying not to use virtual days at all, if at all possible, and possibly thinking of starting students 1 week earlier and completing student days in very early June. This would not start next year, it would be the following, correct?
So we are looking at a couple, there are two different calendar kind of conversations that we've been having. One looking at what we would do if we have significant weather issues this year. Are there some days that we can flip into in-person instruction instead of staff training days? So we are having those conversations, and I look forward to bringing that to the board in January to have a.
And from the advertisements generated a little more than $4,100. So that was some good news. We also were given the Maxime literary publication from the Pottsgrove High School. Poems and artwork, and it was just really beautiful. And I found myself sitting there reading that and not quite paying attention to the meeting, and so I had to put it down. Really good literary publication, and the kids just really did an amazing job. The other item that we discussed was an online ticketing program called Ticket Spigot. So things like Ticket IQ, Ticketmaster, all these good things, but without all the fees. Mr. Unsbach has been working on that. That will allow students to purchase. Most excitedly, though, we talked about a concept of Falcon television. And this is something that the gentleman have brought forward some time ago, and to be able to have a plan together for this, I'm so excited, and I won't do it the justice that you will. That's why I'm so grateful that you came forward to share about it. Thank you.
Well, thank you. It is exciting. And so the concept of a Falcon television studio has been in discussions for the last really year and a half or so. And it really started obviously at the beginning of the pandemic when we started to live stream some events outside and athletic events that we really didn't have the capabilities to do. So in the last year or so, with the technology department, some outside agencies, you know, Mr. Ansbach, for the most part, has been the kind of the bearer of this. We wanted to put together some type of production that we could have our students and a faculty member be able to film and live stream events, and that could be anything from athletic events to concerts, etc. Even, you know, classroom activities, that we could put together basically a mobile television station that could go throughout the district, that could accommodate K to 12, so that we could really capture some of the great things that we do day in and day out through the school year. So really, this was a presentation. We did some research at different schools. A lot of different schools have, full curricular based television studios. That's not really where we were looking at to start. This was really more of a kind of a basic introduction, one camera, mobile television studio that we can kind of transport throughout the district for each of the events. And that's really the concept of it. So we asked the committee to bring this to the board if this was something that might be of interest. We don't have anything like that right now. We do have some capabilities in-house that when we went through the renovation at the high school, that we can kind of use some of the equipment that's already there. So it's kind of a bare bones starting jumping off point, but that was our discussion. So that was, hopefully I did the committee all right.
Absolutely, always. And I think too, what's so exciting about this is it's like the students own this. It's not something handed down. This would be something they could really dig into. And I think too, it gives a student time, an experience to shine. So for me, and one of the earlier guests that came up to speak, public speaking is not my thing, but I could film or I could do something like that. Then you might have a student who loves public speaking, loves to, and they just have that gift, And so something like this is so multifaceted, and it could really highlight several different gifts and collaborate, have many different students collaborating together that maybe wouldn't ordinarily have that opportunity. And it's not just for sports, it's for everything. And just the way that you both had shared that with us in prior meetings, and just kind of pulling in many different areas of which you could turn this toward. And it's just, I don't know, I've been excited, you can probably tell, I've been excited for a while about this, and so it's neat to be able to bring it to the forefront here at the full board meeting. So thanks again for coming up to discuss.
Steve, while you're sitting there, I think Ticket Spricket that Tina mentioned has gone live. I saw. You may want to, could you mention, just explain that to the public, what it is, and what's the response been so far?
Well, Ticket Spicket is basically an online, I don't have anything metal on me. Ticket Spicket is basically an online ticketing program. For years, most of the schools in our area have used basically cash and check, et cetera. Obviously, some have morphed into, credit and debit cards. However, there's been a big push for an online ticket program, just as we use Ticketmaster and things like that. This is very similar. So Mr. Ansbach has rolled this out last week, or this week. He sent it out through our messenger program, that it's an online ticketing program, and he's going to kind of walk it through in the beginning for winter athletic events, that we'll still have a cash piece that you can buy a ticket at the door, et cetera, but you can also buy your tickets online. And really what the big piece of this was, oftentimes season tickets is a little bit larger purchase, so they can buy their season tickets through Ticket Spicket, which is, just a vendor that, and they chose this vendor because schools in our league are utilizing this same vendor. So,
Thank you, and I apologize for not calling you Gary.
That's okay.
I'll get it right, yeah. Sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Lorenzo.
Moving on to 9.5.
9.5 is Policy Committee Meeting Report. This is a report of the committee Policy Committee meeting held on November 16th. Mr. Lappick.
Okay, all right. So we finished off that evening with old business, Policy 236.1, which was threat assessment. And actually that policy, even though it's entitled threat assessment, it deals with the threat assessment team and how the procedures for assessing and handling threats. And that one, we'd actually been working on that for the preceding 2 meetings. So at that point there, it was really just rearranging some items, some grammatical suggestions, and then we were able to finish that up and put that up for the 30 days. And then that threat assessment policy tied in with the following three policies that we worked on that evening, which were policies 247 for hazing, policy 249 bullying, cyberbullying, and policy 252 dating violence. Those three, really for all three, what we did for them, we made sure that there was consistent language in all three of them, mainly to show that who does the reporting and to whom they do the reporting was consistent across all three of those policies, and made sure that in each of them there was very clearly there was a requirement that when there was a case, whether it be for bullying, cyberbullying, dating violence, or the hazing, that the incident was reported to the threat assessment team. And then the only additional thing was that in dating violence, to tie it in or align it with I think it's a new state law, offenders are not permitted to be educated in the same building as their victim. So that was added into the dating violence. So those three were also then moved to 30-day, and that's where we finished off the evening. And that was that.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. Dr. Finnerty. Bill, you got any new business?
No, I'm good, thank you.
All right, we're going to move with Tina. Batty.
Well, as the holidays are upon us, I just would encourage everybody to come out to see the music department. They always put on a great concert and lift everybody's spirits up. So, and just to be kind to one another. That's the most important message I could send. Thank you.
Jay.
Nothing, thank you.
Joe.
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Student board reps.
No.
Me either.
Dr. Nippert. Jim.
Just echoing Patty, just the holiday season and the concerts that are coming up. That's always a good and crowded time. But although actually this year they're doing a Chris Kindlemart, I think, in the middle school early on in the afternoon going through. So I don't remember that ever happening before, but that could be mistaken. I don't remember that with my kids in the middle school, so I could just be getting old and forgetful though. So.
And Ashley.
I just wanted to announce that I'm going to be stepping down from the JOC. I have quite a bit on my plate right now. I'm on the MCIU board, curriculum committee, yet another board outside of this school, and with work and everything else, I think I've been on that board since 2017, so it's time to spread the wealth a little bit. What I would like to do is to nominate Joe Vecchio to take my place. Can I do that?
Well, no, before you can do that, I know that it's painful, but under the new sunshine law, we have to vote first to add that position on. We have to then vote on that, but before we vote on that, we have to have public comment on a new item.
Yep. All right, so Ashley's going to step down from the JOC.
Now, let's be clear about that, just for the record. Your effective date of resignation tonight?
Tonight, yes.
Okay. And would you follow up in writing tomorrow?
Sure.
Okay.
This is not resignation for the board, this is just the JOC, that's it. Right, that one particular committee, which will run until December of 2022. Now, the question is going to be, I need a motion from the board to say it is okay to add the item to nominate a replacement. Do I have that motion?
Make a motion.
I have a motion and a second. Now, public comment first or comment here first?
First, we need a nomination for the position.
First nomination for the position. All right, I need a nomination for the position.
I'd like to nominate Joe Vecchio.
Okay.
And again, I hate to be difficult, but
Yeah.
I think Al said it. Let's state the date of that term when it ends.
It's going to end December 2022. It's going to run concurrent with hers. Now, effective immediately up until next reorganization meeting, pretty much. All right, now, because it is a new item, does anybody have a public comment just on this? We'll get to the regular public comments afterwards. No from here. How about anybody online? No. Okay, any comment here? Okay, we're going to go to vote. All those in favor, Joe will take over for Ashley, effective immediately up until the next organizational meeting in 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion, I don't know what Bill, I have no clue what he's voting. All right, so motion passes, though, doesn't matter.
Okay, and David and Christie, remember, we have to put a new agenda up tomorrow.
All right, any other new business, Ashley, before we do go on to public comment?
I just wanted to reiterate what Tina had said about the Maxime magazine. I do always so enjoy it. Every time it comes out, I just have to sit there and read through it, and it's just an amazing, the artwork, the poems, the stories. It's just what a wonderful testament it is to our students that contribute to it, and then also learn how to put it together and publish it. And it's just a really, really wonderful publication.
All right, we're going to move on to public comment. First one I have is Mr. Corman, if you can come back up. Obviously, again, state your name, township. 2
Sorry,
minutes.
if I may just interrupt one second, just to point out, that's actually the one from last year. This will be coming out again this spring. So.
Well, thank you. I don't remember this one from last year, so maybe we didn't get it. Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Corman.
Thank you very much. Andrew Corman, Upper Pottsgrove Township. Mr. Leach, respectfully, at the last meeting, you approached me at the end of the meeting. It was a very civil conversation. I do appreciate that. And you explained to me your political leaning. I'm not going to say that publicly, but I think we see eye to eye on a lot of things. At that same time, I still believe what I believe about masking, and I believe that it is abuse. On another note, just a quick observation. Today, while I was out for my job, I noticed not 1 hour from here, there were a group of children at school playing outside with balls, and they were probably in the age of 10 years old. They were having a great time, no masks. Another observation, I attended high school in Lower Montgomery County, and that school, for some reason, maybe because it's a private school, does not have to abide by the Montgomery County Department of Health rules and regulations. And
sorry to cut you off.
Most of those kids are
Non-agenda
exempt.
items.
Okay. Finally, my final comment. Mr. Parker, 2 or 3 meetings ago, you blurted out in laughter at a community member. As an elected official, I am calling for your resignation. I know that you apologized to everyone here and everyone in the community for your actions. You don't even come to these meetings in person. Why is that? Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have Jeanette Clifton. Come on up. Obviously, state your name, township.
Jeanette Clifton, Lower Pottsgrove. I just wanted to point out that on the CDC website, it says there are vaccine breakthrough infections, if anyone has actually looked it up. It says that the vaccines are not 100% effective, and yet people are
Ms.
acting
Clifton,
like
I'm
they
sorry.
are.
Do you have anything that's not health and safety, because we did that?
I thought it was public comment and it didn't have to be an agenda item.
Non-agenda items now. We did all the health and safety earlier. And anything you have that's non-health and health and safety, we're good. Go ahead.
Okay, I would like to have more information on the social emotional learning. I know last time there was an explanation, and it's tricky, and I believe it's related to critical race theory. The whole thing of equity. It should be equal opportunity, not equal outcome. And I also wanted to mention about special needs kids. It does say in the law, the Disabilities Act, like the other lady said previously, that you are required by law to provide children in special needs situations the support that they need. How is that being addressed? Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anybody for public? Oh, we got a new one. Come on up. Mr. Joe Duffini? Duffini. Obviously, if you could state your name and township for the record.
My name is Joe Duffany. I live in Lower Pottsgrove. I don't usually make public comment, but hearing a comment from one of the board members today about after the presentation on health and thing about we're not medical professionals here, don't know why we're saying this, that person's whatever, lost all credibility with me. Because you talk about fixing roofs and paving, parking lots and all that, but you're not general contractors, you're not roofers, you're not plumbers, you're not electricians. What else do you guys, oh, you talk about budgets and salaries and all that. Are you guys like labor lawyers too? So you lose credibility when you pick an item like that. It's about making the children safe. Safe schools, safe roofs, safe streets, safe plumbing, and trying to get these darn masks off, and all the kids, no mask, all back in school all the time. So let's get back to some credibility, stop making political statements, and let's just remember the kids, all right? That's all I ask. Thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come on up. And if you could just state your name, township.
Thank you. My name is William Einhorn. I'm actually a district employee here at Lower Pottsgrove, or Pottsgrove School District, sorry. I just wanted to make one really quick comment, and I do apologize, but I do think it needs to be said. On the agenda tonight, and I'm sorry that this is not procedure, but we saw that Mr. Palladino at Pottsgrove Middle School will be leaving us within the next 60 days. I just wanted to say, for the record, that that's a big loss for Pottsgrove. Mr. Palladino is one of our finest teachers here in this district. I know that many students have benefited from his years of teaching. I actually didn't know this. I actually went to college with the guy. Graduated at the same time. We didn't know this until I started working here. He was one of the first people I ever met when I came to Pottsgrove in 2009. And we're very sad to lose him, but I know that he has a tremendous opportunity ahead of him. So I just, for the record, wanted to say congratulations to Mr. Palladino. He deserves all the credit in the world, and we wish him nothing but the best. And I know that many of us hope someday to see him back here in Pottsgrove. I wanted to say thank you to our student representatives as well as the board members that mentioned our winter concerts coming up. Speaking on behalf of the music department, we have been looking forward to this for 2 years. It's been 2 years since our last live performance here at Pottsgrove. We're very much looking forward to it for the fact that all of our concerts, our elementary, middle, and high school concerts are combined this year. Combined elementary concert, combined middle school, combined high school concert. We have been really building this culture of music department unity, and I'm asking the public and asking the board, please come out and see these concerts. Our students have been working very hard from the beginning of the year. They've been excited to be back in school to do all these. We've had some taste of that with the marching band. We've had some taste of that with the Montgomery County Honors Orchestra concert. But now, within the next week, we're getting ready for these concerts. And Mr. Lappick, yes, the Kindle Mart is something new this year. We've never done it before. No, yeah, that was kind of the brainchild of our high school choir director, Mrs. Rich Schaefer. And we'll release details of that to all of you, but they're going to be fantastic, and we're just so happy to be back performing live for our audience. And we'd like to see a full house in our auditoriums, in our middle school auditorium coming up. So I thank you very much for giving me the time to address the board. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Einhorn. With all the concentration that we've had on other agenda items, I really do appreciate you calling attention to Mr. Palladino. He was actually one of the first people I met when I came to the district, and I've since met two other Palladinos, an impressive family. Mr. Palladino is moving on to start his administrative career. We will certainly miss him, and we wish him well. And I, again, thank you for calling attention to my not bringing that up. That was my error, so thank you.
Dr. Rabich, do we have anybody online? Then I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Everybody have a great holiday season. Everybody here too?